Welcome to Down to Dunk. I'm your host, Andrew Schlecht. We're part of the Athletic Podcast Network. With me, hardly ever, on a Tuesday, is my good friend Alex Speers. Alex, what's up?
What's up, Andrew? I had to start my recording. Oh, boy.
I think you might be. Okay, there we go.
I'm better?
There we go.
Okay.
What a night of basketball. Man, the first game, the Lakers-Pelicans game, was legitimately one of the great games of the season. Oh, what is it? What is it?
What?
Oh, Alex is freezing up. We may have
Oh,
to
am I
restart
really?
this. This may be a YouTube exclusive here.
I could go upstairs.
Am I freezing up for people, or is Alex freezing up? I need to figure this out, and then I might restart the show. Yeah, Yep. I'm gonna check my speed again
Let me check my speed.
because I think I'm good. No freeze for anyone. We're both good. It's all fine. You guys both seem good to me. That's what everybody's saying.
Yeah, dude, I got
Okay.
178.
All right. Well, let's get people in the chat here. Check your speed. Let's get people in the chat.
Can you hear me, Andrew?
And then we'll restart the show here shortly. So currently, there's about 2 minutes left. Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, but am I delayed? Took you a long time to respond to that.
Now? Still responding long?
Okay. Now, still responding long?
Uh-oh. There's something up.
Here, I'll leave and come back.
Oh, there he goes. So the Warriors' demise, which is beautiful. I have it here playing on my computer as we sit here and watch. It's over. The dynasty's over. They are definitely cutting costs after this season. They're not paying the luxury tax. They're certainly getting out of the third apron, but they're definitely not paying the luxury tax as well next year, which will be quite interesting to see where the Warriors land after this, who they decide to keep. Where does Klay Thompson go? Man, what a bad night for Klay. 0 of 10, 0 of 6 from 3. It's just very ugly. Okay.
How does this sound?
Yeah, good. Am I responding better for you now?
Yeah, you're immediately responding.
Okay, good. Yeah, when I introed, it was like 5 seconds of of it just hanging there after.
Well, no, I did pause the first time because I was trying to get my QuickTime up to start recording.
It was extra. It was a little extra. Okay, well, cold open.
All right.
Now we're gonna do the real show. All right, here we go. And 3,
All right.
2, 1. Welcome to Down to Dunk. I'm your host, Andrew Schlecht. We're part of the Athletic Podcast Network. With me, hardly ever, on a Tuesday, it's my good friend Alex Speers. Alex, what's up?
What's up, Andrew? Shout out to Blazers fans. This is their version of Bird Night. This is a Bird Night memorial for them because they have the Warriors pick and it just became a lottery pick. So congrats to Blazers fan. Nothing like that, is there?
Oh, that was a great night. I was on top of the world that night. Bird night.
It was great, and we were coming. It honestly, that is probably the best I've felt until this playoffs because we were coming off such a long, tough season,
Yeah.
And to just get gifted a lottery pick, and then in retrospect, knowing that it turned into J-Dub.
Yeah.
I mean, man, what a night that was. I almost broke out. I still have my big Pelican painting. I almost broke it out tonight, but that feels like it would be mean considering what happened to the Pelicans tonight. The actual birds.
True.
That helped us so much.
Yeah, Bird Night. Without Bird Night, we have no J-Dub, which is a pretty big deal. Some say.
I know. And I was like, who beat them? And I was like, oh yeah, it's Bird Night. Yeah, it's the Pelicans. Yeah, there was let's start with the Warriors. Kings. That was a blast. to watch.
Absolute beatdown.
Because, listen, once we got the Lakers out of the way, which, Thunder fans, depending on who you talk to, may feel one way or the other about the Lakers. I just didn't want to have to deal with it. I would just rather have not dealt with it.
Breaking news. Hold on.
What? Breaking news is about Zion.
Yeah. Shams Charania says he's believed to have suffered a left hamstring injury, sources say. Will Guillory had tweeted that he did not limp and did not have anything on his leg when he walked out.
Yeah.
But obviously something was very wrong. Well, okay, we can get to that here in a second if you want to talk about the demise of the Warriors first.
No. Okay, let's reverse. Let's start with the first game because that was really weird. The Zion injury, because when you're watching it live and on the replays, didn't really look like much. You couldn't really see his legs take off or land on a lot of the shots they gave you, and he didn't grab anything, which I thought that was the most interesting part.
He was miffed and
he was so pissed. And that's how you knew it was bad because instantly he called out that he was going to have to come out of the game.
Yeah.
But he didn't grab his Achilles, he didn't grab his knee. No. So I was like, what is going on? He was walking. But hamstring strain makes sense. And it makes sense, hopefully it's not, it can't be that serious of an injury, but it's probably going to be serious enough to put that next game into jeopardy. And those are really tough to come back from. But
they're lingering.
I know they do linger, but hopefully he avoided a major injury. Hamstring strain, he'll come back from that. But he probably knew this is bad enough where it's going to keep me out of this game. He seemed to know that instantly.
Yeah. He was very upset on the bench and then immediately went to the locker room and the post-game stuff was weird. And then now you're getting murmurings from newsbreakers about it being a hamstring injury, which is not great for Pelicans fans.
Now. But sounds like it's a pretty good for his future.
You mean yeah. For next season and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So that's good. Because he had an incredible game.
Dude,
my gosh.
That was one of the best games that I've seen from anybody this season.
He was clearly the best player on the court.
It wasn't even it truly wasn't even a contest between him, AD, and LeBron. He was the guy. And
the way he was going right at AD, scoring over him over and over again.
Yeah.
It was really awesome. And they needed every little bit of that.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously they didn't win, but BI was giving you nothing. CJ was giving you nothing in that game.
It was bad.
They're such a weird team because David Griffin
couldn't play three of their starters, three of them down the stretch. They're we can't play Jonas, McCollum, or Ingram.
They're such a weird team because David Griffin, you have to give him some credit for scouting. He's gotten a lot of Jose Alvarado, Herb Jones, Trey Murphy, Dyson Daniels. He's found a lot of really good guys, but he has not been able to figure out how to build around Zion yet. Even though it seems kind of obvious, when Trey Murphy's out there, when you have big shooters, and then you have guys who can defend as well, like Herb Jones, man, it looks so good. They need to get more of those guys, and they need to get a rim protector. And I think they'd be cooking, but that's a lot to ask for just one off season. They have the BI move though, and who knows what that will be. But yeah, I was happy to avoid the Lakers. It wasn't that I was scared of them, Andrew. I know that you welcomed it. You wanted it.
I think you were scared.
I wasn't scared. I just didn't want to have to deal with it because I saw what it was going to be like to deal with it over these last 48 hours when every single podcast had to do should the Lakers tank, as if they were the first person to think of it.
So
every podcast had to do it. And I was going 0 dark 30 once I heard the first 3 podcasts all brought it up that I listened to. I was okay, I'm not listening to podcasts until this game tonight because I know they're going to beat them. But I didn't want to jinx it, so I didn't say anything.
Yeah.
I'm just glad to have avoided that because then we would have gotten days. Well, obviously they would need to win the next game, but we would have gotten even more days of just hearing, OKC is so small. They're not going to be able to handle AD, who didn't look great, by the way. I know he put up 20 and 15, but He did not look like Defensive Player of the Year Anthony Davis. He did not look like could be the best player on the court Anthony Davis. They look like they're going to get run out of the gym by Denver. We'll see. But
it's happened. We saw it last year, and they are a worse defensive team than they were last year. So,
yeah.
Like,
but all that to say, I'm just glad we don't have to deal with it. I'm just glad I don't have to deal with it. And I think credit to New Orleans, credit to the Kings. They're both good teams. They both could take games off of OKC. But those two teams represent to me what the reward should be for getting the number one seed.
Yeah.
Like I said, no disrespect to those teams, but either of those teams is clearly the worst team in the Western Conference playoffs. Clearly.
Yeah.
You know? And that is what you should that's what you should get when you're the number one seed. You should get a matchup like that. I mean, there have only been 3 times in NBA history in a 7-game series that an 8 seed has beat a 1 seed. The 07 Warriors over the Mavs, we believe. 2011 Grizzlies over Spurs, which is kind of a crazy one to think back on.
Yeah.
And then the 2023 Heat over the Bucks with the Giannis injury. Like, it doesn't happen. And the way this is now setting up, it is kind of a classic 1-8 matchup now, where one team is clearly better, the team that has done what they needed to do to be the 1 seed in their conference, and then a team that, you know, had a solid seat. Both of these teams had really good seasons at different times, looked really good, but deserve to be where they are right now because they just weren't good enough.
Yeah.
So I'm feeling good. I'm feeling like I'm not ready to talk about the series because we don't know who it's going to be, but I feel like, man, this really paid off for the Thunder. Going all out for that 1 seed and getting it has paid off because this is what you should get.
Yeah, and what's crazy is that I just keep looking at that game against the Kings. It is looking more and more meaningful, you know, as we continue to go on. Like, one, if it does end up being the Kings, it's meaningful in that you got to see this version of the Kings not very long ago, and you kind of figured them out at halftime.
Yeah.
You get to kind of go into the series that way. But just getting that win where it felt like, oh, man, they're going to lose this game. And even at the time, it didn't feel like it was going to be that impactful to what was going to happen over the course of the next week. Because it just felt like, okay, we're heading toward third anyways. Like, this is fine. Like, this is where they're going to be anyways. No, but they win that game. And then basically the rest of the league just like gives up and allows the Thunder to have this 5-game win streak going into the end of the season. And it just I mean, there's probably one thing that Thunder fans can thank Victor Wembanyama for, and is for beating the Denver Nuggets in that game.
I am so interested to see how this plays out because, you know, the Timberwolves going from being in the spot that the Thunder are in right now to having to play the Suns in the first round, a team that has just destroyed them.
I know.
This season. That is such a huge swing, and it's all because of Wemby. Shout out to Wemby. Yeah, I just the reason I'm so excited, it's not just the Lakers, but it's also the Warriors going out. What's going to happen now over these next few days is OKC is going to be finally treated like a 1 seed. People are going to talk about them as a 1 seed because they won't be wasting their time talking about the Lakers and the Warriors, these old ass teams who like everyone just wants to talk about endlessly. They're not going to be talking about them. They're going to be treating OKC like a 1 seed, as they should be. They're going to be talking about them as a 1 seed. Everyone's going to be picking them. It's the way it should be when you get the 1 seed, especially in a tough Western Conference. So I'm happy, Andrew. I'm very happy right now.
Yeah, I mean, as you should be. And not that we would like celebrate an injury, but if like Zion Williamson is like actually hurt or has like a slight tear in his hamstring or something.
I especially knowing how BI played, it's like how could they beat the Kings? I mean, they just have to get like ridiculously hot from 3 because they're going to have to. I guess it will be at home, although they haven't been very good at home in a lot of these.
Yeah, I was going to say they've lost both playing games that they've played the last 2 seasons at home.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean,
that might not actually mean anything.
Yeah, I mean, it does. That certainly does mean something. I mean, you watch the home court advantage that the Kings had tonight. Like, boy, oh boy, that was a lot of fun. Just like they bring like an extra layer when you're watching on live television. What that crowd brings, and so like it is significant in the fact that they're not in Sacramento. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Those I just looked it up. So the Pelicans were 21-19 at home this year, which is not great. They were 28-14 on the road. 28-14.
That's wild.
Yeah, I think, you know, even setting aside like the on-court basketball, I think we're both hoping for a Kings Thunder series just for the fun of it. We could potentially get Deuce and Mo on the show.
Yeah,
both the crowds would be great.
Yeah,
they'd be battling out for best small market crowd.
All markets. Yeah,
they'd be doing the decibel reader at both arenas, maybe comparing them. Wouldn't that be great?
You got the Domas angle where like most people don't quite remember that he played for the Thunder, but he definitely did. You know,
that'd be funny if we tried to make that like a big angle, and everyone was like, "Yeah, it just doesn't. No one cares." No, you don't understand.
You don't have to do it. Like you don't.
He's coming back for a revenge.
He's back.
I do think like that part of the story is really interesting though, because he did not have a great playoffs last year against the Warriors.
No,
to the point where a lot of people who already hadn't, if they hadn't written him off already as like someone you could like build around, you know, for a championship team, I feel like a lot of people did write him off after that series. And we saw how good OKC was against him in that most recent game. So I'm super interested if that ends up being the matchup, how that looks over a 7-game series. Like how much can they shut him down? Because they really did shut him down in that game most recently.
Yeah.
You have to imagine that's going to be not the normal in a 7-game series, but
probably not.
At the same time, you factor in how he played last year against the Warriors, and it's like, ooh, I just want to see how it looks. But Thunder Kings would be really fun, and a proper 1-8 series.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I still just am a little bit in disbelief that the Thunder actually got the 1 seed. Like I just still can't believe it. And now like it's funny just being on the other end of this after going through the play-in tournament last year and you know watching the Pelicans game and like how meaningful that was. It's so much fun. Like the play-in tournament is so much fun. It's been just like an absolute hit. But that was amazing. And then watching them lose to Minnesota was, I mean, it was such a bummer. But now getting to like wait on the other side, you know, like we don't know. I don't know.
It's not a perfect setup, you know, because I do think you'd like to have Dallas on the other side of the bracket, but to have Denver and Minnesota and the Lakers, all the big teams, all the big teams are on the other side of the bracket.
Yeah,
you can't really ask for much more than that.
Dude, if they can just win 1 series, you know, and we're jumping the gun even doing that, like that is such a crazy success for this team. Thinking about where we thought they were at the beginning of the year, you know, just to be in the spot that we're in now, talking about, hey, who are we waiting on as the 1 seed? You know, we have to wait until Friday as the 1 seed to see who they're going to play. And then possibly winning that series and then possibly moving on to play a really good team in the second round. It's like, man, I mean, this is crazy. This is like this is the gravy year. Like it still is, even though it may not feel like it is because they have kind of jumped the line a little bit, but it's astounding. And it wouldn't be crazy to see them beat Sacramento and then Dallas and then get to the conference finals, even in year 1 of this. It wouldn't be crazy. And now it does seem a little bit more possible. Like the Lakers, as much as I would have picked the Thunder against the Lakers, but there's always going to be doubt when it comes to LeBron and Anthony Davis, you know, and what they are capable of and what they can do. Over the course of 7 games, I think the Thunder would win. But it would have been tough. And then the same thing for the Warriors, as bad as they look tonight. It's still Steph Curry. And still just don't know.
I was looking it up. They won 60% of their games this season when Draymond played. That would have been good enough for the 6th seed. They would have been better than the Suns.
Yeah.
His absence, self-inflicted, dropping them all the way down to the 10 seed and then going out like this. I mean, that is just brutal for them because I do think post All-Star break, like you did start to see a team. Now, it wasn't anything like the Warriors teams of years past, but it was like, okay, this is a pretty good team. And in a 7-game series, like bad things could happen with this team. Like they're good enough to scare me. And so to not have to think about that either, man, things are going pretty well.
Yeah, the Warriors, I mean, you saw in a game where that actually held a lot of weight, you saw so many guys crumble. Like you saw like Jackson Davis, like, oh no, like the lights are too bright for Trace. He's got to sit. I thought Moses Moody played great. I thought Pajemski was pretty good for them. And I thought Kuminga was like trying to like show that he was awesome, and he was not awesome in this game. He's a -22 in this one off the bench. I mean, it was just wild kind of seeing them fall apart. And then Clay just had like a very off night. And same with Curry. And then like what in the world happened to Andrew Wiggins? Like what in the world happened to that guy? Like that is just a bizarre story.
It was really wild watching it because there's still those flashes of like old Warriors teams.
Yeah.
But there's also like the flashes of the negatives of those Warriors teams, and those are so much more brighter now. Like the turnovers, like they were so sloppy in that game, and yet their margin of error is so much smaller now that all of those turnovers just make them look like a bad team. Where in the past it was like, oh, this is the Warriors can do whatever they want. You know, it doesn't really matter because they can just come back from any amount down. Like even when they got down by, remember when Steph hit that 4-pointer?
Yeah.
When he got fouled by Keon Ellis.
Yeah.
Like even then I was like, oh man, like could this be the start of a run?
Yeah.
And credit to the Kings, man. They just kept shutting the door over and over again. That was really impressive, especially once the Warriors came back at the end of the second quarter, made a game of it within 4 or whatever it was, to open up that third quarter and come out and kind of shut the door pretty quickly. Was very impressive.
Yeah, I think we mentioned this last week after the Thunder game, but I just think honestly this version of the Kings, and I know people are like, well, without Monk and Herter, this is so much, going to be so much harder for them. This version is actually probably better suited to defend the Warriors than the other version was. Now it just came down to, are they going to get enough points? Like where are they going to get all their points from? Like we know the Fox and Sabonis are going to show up, give you 20-ish points each. But the fact that they got 17 from Harrison Barnes, 32 from Keegan Murray, 15 from Keon Ellis. All right, that's good enough. Like you're good to go. They really didn't get much from their bench as far as scoring. But when you have Keegan Murray, who goes 8 of 13 from 3, I mean, you are solid. Like you are good to go. And when you have the defenders like Keon, who was again amazing tonight, and then Davion Mitchell coming off the bench, you're very well suited for 48 minutes of defense on Steph Curry.
And if anyone out there is wondering, I just looked it up. So Malik Monk out 4 to 6 weeks. That was on April 3rd. So he still has at least another 2 weeks before he would be reevaluated. So I don't think he's going to be back. And then Herter was wearing a sling. Is there any chance he's coming back? Let's see. No, he had shoulder surgery.
Yeah, he's done. Yeah.
So this is probably going to be their team if they do advance.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it is. And I think you probably just have to roll with it if you're them. And, maybe you get Malik Monk back for a couple games or something. But, yeah, it's going to be so interesting to see what happens. And, like, especially
I'm just noticing
with Zion, like, what's his status going to be? Is he going to be done for the play-in? Is he going to be done? Even if they have, I mean, that's the thing with one game. Like, could you see, like, CJ McCollum scoring 30 in a game and like Jose Alvarado having a crazy
honestly
game?
No,
you could
tonight's game. No, I could
not.
He
actually had a really great stint recently. CJ had, like, it went really under the radar, but CJ McCollum has played really well lately, and he just has been awful in these play-in games. He was awful last year too. Remember how bad he was?
Yeah.
I mean, against the Lakers in the game that they lost prior to the play-in, 25 points, 28 points, 31 points, 29 points, 31, 31, 36. I mean, that's what he was doing. I mean, he played great. and like really no one would notice because it's CJ McCollum and the Pelicans. Like nobody cares. But he could do it. Like he could have a nice night. I mean, his 3 totals, like he's against Sacramento. Here it is. In a game where they won by 12 points. He was 9 of 12 from 3.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it does seem unimaginable after watching him tonight, where it was like, what is going on with this guy? They can't even play him. They can't even play him down the stretch of the game. That was one of the weirdest games, and I think it had to, especially with Brandon Ingram, have just been injury related, right? Like, why else would you not be able to play your guy who is supposed to be your second star, and your first star goes out, and you're still like, I don't know about playing you.
I know his hand's going to be forced though against the Kings because like how are they going to Ingram out there?
You can't. Yeah, you can't do it. They like did a good enough job staying afloat during that stretch, even when I think they tied it up at one point after Zion went out, and it was like, oh, that's cool, that's cute. Is kind of how it felt. It's like there's no way you're winning now. Like there was just absolutely no way they were winning. Yeah, they were tied at 9. They were tied at 95-95 when Zion made that floating jump shot. And then Larry Nance made that dunk after the Alvarado assist. That's the one that I was like, okay, nice work. And Trey Murphy tied it back up. Good on him. But then, they weren't able to really hang down the stretch there. And it felt inevitable at that point that they just weren't going to be able to do it. And, credit the Lakers for taking advantage of it, but it really sucked. I really think the Pelicans were going to win that game if Zion didn't go out. I mean, they tied the game up, and I thought, boy, the Lakers look like they're on the ropes. Like they have no answers. And they had like the perfect role players around Zion to space the floor, and it just did not work out.
Yeah, a Lakers Kings game would have been very fun as a neutral observer because I do think that would, because Sabonis has had 80's number for a while.
Yeah.
Did you hear that stat that 80's never beaten Sabonis?
Yeah, it's true.
That's so wild. I mean, I know that they were in different conferences for a long time, but still,
never.
They're
dodging the Thunder and dodging Sabonis winning that game.
I guess so. Bring on Jokic.
Yeah, give me to Jokic. At least we beat Jokic before. We don't even know how to solve the Sabonis puzzle. Just no idea. Who has beat Sabonis is Chet. So
that's right.
Take that, Anthony Davis.
Did you see the rim defensive stats that were going around?
Which ones?
It was just like a list of like the best rim defenders in the league, and Chet was, he was like 3rd or 4th. He was very good.
Oh yeah. I did see it.
But what was interesting about it is that the number of attempts like dwarfed all the other guys at the top, which kind of makes sense because you would think that if someone's like a really good rim defender, they would have that kind of Wemby effect where guys avoid challenging them. Mm-hmm. But I think that is one of like the really interesting things about Chet is that, as we've seen both like from the media and also players, like people are very willing to challenge Chet and not think that they're going to get away with it. And so as a result, you have these really high attempts for Chet, but he has an incredible rim defense percentage. I just thought that was a very funny stat.
Yeah, that is interesting.
You have to imagine the attempts will go down as people like wise up and realize, oh, okay, he may look skinny, but he is going to block me every time.
I might want to destroy this man, but maybe I shouldn't every time. Yeah. I think there's going to be truth to that for sure. Because the same stuff happened with Rudy early on in his career, and as like Rudy has gotten better and a little bit more sturdy, like people just don't try him as often. Man, I cannot believe that the Warriors are done. Like I just can't believe it, and that the Lakers are out of the play-in too. Yeah,
the Warriors feel like they're done.
They are done. Like I mean, they've already said. I mean, their owner's on the record saying that he was going to cut payroll, and you don't make the playoffs. Like, you don't even make the playoffs. You don't even get a second play-in game. You know, it's got to be over.
So Clay's probably gone. Chris Paul's definitely gone. I wonder if they'll try to move Wiggins. I'm guessing they're just going to keep Steph and Draymond till the end.
Yeah, I was going to say, you keep Steph and Draymond and let that ride out, and then you just hope Kuminga and Moody and Podziemski get better, and you're just like this scrappy play-in team until it's over. Like, what other option do you have? That's what you are already, and your salary's through the roof. So, like, you might as well just go ahead and just embrace it, you know?
Man, it really makes that 2022 title like even more amazing.
Isn't that crazy to think that?
Just to know that like that team, very similar to this current team, like all the same guys.
Mm-hmm.
For the most part, obviously, there's a bunch of young guys now, but for them to have pulled that off, and then just 2 years later, completely missing the playoffs. With I mean, you have the Draymond thing, but it wasn't like Steph missed a ton of the season, you know. So yeah, that's pretty brutal. In fact, their health overall was pretty good.
Yeah.
Clay played 77, Steph 74, Podziemski 74, Kuminga 74. Yeah, that's a brutal way to go out, but I feel like we've seen this before, that when you have these dynasties that want to let it run its course, it's always going to be kind of gross at the end.
Yeah, it is, unless you're the Spurs and you luck out with Kawhi. Or Podziemski turns into the next version of Kawhi.
Although even the Spurs, post Kawhi trade, they were just nothing for a decade.
After the Kawhi trade, Kawhi just gave them extra life for 4 years. Is all I meant. Man, just looking at the West this year compared to last year is crazy. Last year or this year, there are 3 teams with a plus 5 point differential. Thunder have the best in the conference at plus 7.4, Minnesota plus 6.5, and then the Nuggets plus 5.3. Last year, you look at it, I mean, plus 3.9 was the best. And can you guess what team it was?
I'm guessing it wasn't the Nuggets.
No.
Was it who would it be? The Clippers?
The Clippers were plus 0.5.
Nope, not the Clippers. Who was it, Andrew?
It's the Grizzlies.
Ah, the Grizz.
Yeah. 250-win teams. No plus 6 team in the conference, which is the level of a contender. There's 2 of them, and those 2 are do not include the Nuggets, which obviously the Nuggets are contenders. But I also kind of look back at the West last year and think about how weak it was. The Lakers, under 1 with their point differential. The Thunder were actually a plus 1.1, which was better than the Clippers, the Lakers. That was the only 2 teams that they were better than. But it's just interesting to look back at it because the West was really down last year, really, really down. And I don't know what quite to make of that with regards to this. I know the Nuggets were dominant, but also the Nuggets played the Heat in the finals, who had a negative point differential in the regular season last year. I'm not trying to say the Nuggets are going to get beat in the playoffs. We all look at the Nuggets as this inevitable force that no one can beat. And I'm just posing the question. They beat beat up on a pretty bad Western Conference last year and then played a really bad East opponent.
Yeah, for sure.
It's what are we supposed to, I guess my question is, what are we supposed to do with that? Because I think the way that Jokic gets painted and the way that the Nuggets get painted as some inevitable, you can't do anything with these guys. I don't know. We haven't seen them do it against like the biggest, best teams, if that makes sense.
Well, I mean, this is definitely going to be. I mean, if they go back to back,
if they go back to back, if they do it this year and like prove it, then yeah, then like okay, then
that like kind of solidifies everything. It's almost like the Warriors' first run, where people didn't really believe it, and then K-Love and Kyrie were out in the finals, and everyone was like, yeah, and then they come back the next year and win 73 games, although then they end up losing. But yeah,
team that was their first year that won the championship, they had a plus 10 point differential, won 67 games.
Oh, I know. It's stupid that people didn't buy into the Warriors back then. I remember Charles Barkley not buying into them because there was the whole idea that like a jump shooting team can't win a championship.
Yeah, but they were a plus 10, and like I said, this marker does not hold true to everything, but like there's a general belief that a plus 6 is like that's the line of a championship contender. The Nuggets have not been a plus 6 the last 2 years.
I know, Andrew. They're very good though.
They're very good. I'm not trying to doubt them, but
it seems like you're trying to doubt them, Andrew.
I'm just posing the question. I'm just posing.
Are you picking the Lakers?
I'm trying to pick the Lakers. Rui is the Jokic stopper. We learned that last year, right? It is good though that like that was their conference finals opponent last year. The Lakers.
That Lakers team, yeah.
And now it's their first round opponent. It's going to be I mean, if they face the Lakers, the Timberwolves, and then whoever comes out of the other side of the bracket, you're going to earn it. you are going to earn it. I think those teams,
especially if they then go on to beat Boston,
and then you beat Boston. Yeah,
like right now that looks like one of the toughest paths in recent memory, considering like how good Boston is. I mean, they're a plus 11.4 point differential.
Yeah, yes. Clearly, they have the point differential of a team that is a championship contender.
Andrew, here's what I'm saying though. You don't even have to worry about the Nuggets anymore. They're on the other side of the bracket. We don't have to think about them anymore. Isn't that great?
It's very great.
Don't think about the Wolves. Don't think about the Lakers. I'm loving that.
Yeah.
Mavs are good, but you know what? That would be a very fun second round matchup. And if the Thunder lost that matchup, depending on how they lost it, I don't want to get swept, but depending on how they lost it, I'd still be like very happy and satisfied with this season. But I also think they absolutely could beat them.
Yeah, I think so too.
Like the path, especially how things played out tonight. Like I'm more open to the idea of the Thunder making like a conference finals run than I was a few days ago.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, like I just want to. I'm like so cautious. Like I'm so scared of believing in my favorite team. I just like don't want to say anything outlandish, but as it's starting to fall into place, especially after tonight, it's like, man, they really do have a shot. Like they have like a pretty good shot to get the conference finals. Not a guarantee or anything, but man.
I mean, this will be Luka's fourth playoff run with the Mavericks. Like they've been through it. They've been out in the first round twice. They went on that fun conference finals run. Like they've been through it. Luka specifically has been through it. And had that experience. It's like, would it be shocking to see that happen? No, not at all shocking. But I think it would help also ignite a rivalry that never really ever existed between Oklahoma City and Dallas that should exist.
Yeah, because those series were fun back in the day, but it was two teams at the opposite end of the age spectrum. Yeah. And so it just never really felt like a peer.
Although you said you were picking the Clippers.
Well, I really need to get confirmation on Kawhi because now Chris Haynes is saying there's swelling.
Hey, but he kind of might play.
That prediction is definitely based on Kawhi being fully healthy because fully healthy Kawhi, but it already sounds like he's not going to be. So
I was going to say, you can go ahead and throw that in the trash then.
I know.
Fully healthy. I mean, there's just no way. we've been down this road so many times with Kawhi, where it's like, you know what, I think there's a chance. And then it's like, well, Kawhi's not in the building for game 1. It's like, what? No.
That's fine. That's fine. Let him rest for game 1. He'll come back from game 2. He'll be 100%.
Yeah, we've seen this story before. Paul Bright wants to know, would you rather play the Pelicans or the Kings? Let's say that the league just called you. Ring, ring, ring. Hey, Alex, we're not going to play the game on Friday. We just want you to decide.
Wow. Damn. Here's the thing. I truly do not care. I feel like these teams are pretty equal. The Pelicans are the better of the two teams. The Pelicans had the higher highs this season.
Yeah.
But knowing that Zion is probably dealing with a hamstring injury means that you have to throw that out the window. So I don't care because we're the number 1 seed and only 3 8 seeds have ever beat a 1 seed. I do not care. Either one. I would choose the Kings just because I like their home crowd. I generally like a lot of their fans. And I just think it would be a more fun series. Now, if you had healthy Zion against the Thunder, I do think that there's some juice there. That's exciting. But so I guess I'll pick the Kings, but I truly don't care at this point. Yeah. Coming into tonight, I would have picked any team that wasn't the Lakers or the Warriors, just because I don't want to have to deal with the media circus around those two teams.
I would have loved it.
Why? It would have been miserable. We would have had multiple days of like, oh, this could be the Warriors' final run, and they're matching up against an inexperienced Oklahoma City Thunder team. No, I would have hated all that talk. It was being so annoying. Even though I would have picked the Thunder to beat them.
What would have been great, though, is for that all to happen, and then for the Thunder to beat them.
Yes, but the downside would have been much greater. Imagine being on the other end of the Warriors continuing their dynasty for one final run, being only the 4th, 8th seed to beat the number 1 seed.
Yeah,
that would have ruined my summer. Absolutely ruined my summer.
They show up to Game 7 wearing the "We Believe" jerseys.
Yeah. No, I would rather just avoid the 10% chance or whatever it was of that happening.
They avoided it. Yeah, I mean it's over. Yeah. I mean it's done. It's stamped.
Same with the Lakers, like just having to hear people go on and on. Oh my gosh, let me tell you how old LeBron is to the day, and he's still doing this. Just doing that over and over again. Hey, how about Reggie Miller? How about that call at the end of the game? That was one of the, I guess, worst. That was one of the worst, like basketball things I've ever heard a person say. In case you missed it,
why don't you tell people what he said? Because the
Lakers were at the line, and if they make the next free throw, they go up by 4.
Yeah,
with like only a couple seconds left. And Reggie Miller says something to the effect of, teams talk about this, players talk about this. Do you intentionally miss the shot to be up by 3 so they have to go full court? Or do you make the shot to go up by 4 and let them take it out of bounds? Bro, what are you talking about?
You get the score that is almost impossible to match. That's what you do. I mean, because you could call a timeout. You could do. I mean, there's a lot of ways.
You could go stand in the corner and let them take a wide open 3, and it does not matter.
Yeah.
What is he talking about?
Yeah. If the other team has 3 still, they could just chunk the ball, and it could just go in. Just like one out of every 250 of those shots go in.
And that'd be fun, and it wouldn't matter. That was a really weird thing to say, and
unbelievably dumb. Like I
really
can't.
He threw the players under the bus by saying that the players are talking about this. Players talk about this.
It's like,
I think they do, Reggie.
Yeah, I'm not listening to player podcasts anymore after that.
Get him out of here.
Yeah, it's so bad.
Not a fan.
Question from Sauce about t-shirts. So you ordered a Big Dog shirt. Okay? He's in Tulsa. Should I expect to get it before the game Sunday? I believe so. Yes, I was actually talking to Taylor tonight, and he is working hard getting those shirts done.
And he sent us an image of a completed shirt.
Yeah,
it looks really good. Maybe we can show you guys. It's it's big. It's going to be big on the shirt. If you got a small, it's going to be big.
It's going to be
on
big.
the shirt.
Well, I mean, I have this. It pretty much looks like that, but I can
that's true.
do a real. Let me see.
A real one.
A real one. Yeah, I mean they look great. I think everybody's gonna be very happy. We sold a lot of these shirts, and I look forward to seeing these shirts everywhere. Yeah, there we go. So that's a completed shirt. Yeah, it looks really good. I'm very excited about it. Shout out to
background.
Shout out to Dusty Gilfoot. I don't know.
Is that a blanket?
It's
a brown and white checkered blanket.
It looks like somebody drew it themselves.
Yeah, weird.
That is very weird. Anyways,
you'll follow up on that.
You'll get your shirts. Don't worry. Yeah, we'll follow up on this blanket debacle. Whose play is most important to get us to a long playoff run? From Nakapish.
I think it's Chet.
Okay.
Because now that I've seen SGA kind of come back and look like SGA again, I'm feeling pretty good there.
Yeah.
Same with Dub. I don't really have any doubts about Dub. Chet is the one where I just think he can change a series defensively. Mm-hmm. And if he's at the top of his game defensively, combined with him hitting his threes, like that is the type of player that turns this from a, one series playoff run into a like 3 series playoff run or 4 series, maybe even that. Mm-hmm. So I really do think it's Chet. Like if Chet's playing like he played at his peak this season, like I was thinking, man, as this Warriors game was starting, I was thinking back to those first Warriors games and specifically that overtime game in Golden State where Chet was just incredible. Probably put up his best line of the season, hit the 3 in the corner to send it in overtime. Man, if you get that Chet, the sky's the limit. And so I really think he is the one that is going to decide the ultimate ceiling of this team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's him or J-Dub. I think you're going to get a baseline defense from Chet. It's like who can you get consistent enough number 2 scoring?
Yeah,
it's kind of what they're going to need, and they don't need it from both of them every single night, but you definitely need those guys to have this was the Chet game where he scored 36 or something, in game 5 or whatever it is. Which I just still can't believe that we get to watch this team in the playoffs very soon. It's so exciting. I just cannot believe it. What about role players? What role players are you expecting to see step up?
And I think Isaiah Joe needs to have a really good playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's very important to what they do. He's very important for making those Shea only lineups work.
Mm-hmm.
Another stat. Did you see that stat about who has the most shooting gravity in the league?
Mm-mm.
And it was it was Steph, Clay, KD. I forget the other guy in the top 5. And then it was Isaiah Joe, number 5 in the league.
Surprising.
Shooting gravity.
That checks out.
And that's super important for this playoffs. It's also super important for this offseason. I think extending Isaiah Joe is a huge priority. You don't find guys like that. You just heard the guys I rattled off. You're not finding, obviously he's not that level, but the other guys up there are these guys, like a Sam Merrill, Duncan Robinson, the guys that have this type of shooting gravity. And once you find one of those guys, you have to hold on to them because they are so important. And they're specifically so important for a team that plays the way OKC does, where you want those driving lanes as exposed as possible. And one way you do that is by having shooters like Isaiah Joe, who other teams just cannot sag off of. That said, so he's going to help no matter what. But man, if he has a good playoff run, I think that will really propel this team forward. If he has a couple games in the teens and the high teens, that's what I'm looking for Isaiah Joe. Doesn't have to do it every single night, but you need to. We saw what it was like when he kind of went through his little rough patch this season. You need good Isaiah Joe in the playoffs.
I can't wait to see Kenrich Williams in the playoffs.
Do you feel like we're going to see a new and improved version of Kenrich? Because it doesn't feel like they've been playing him to the extent that I might have expected coming into the season. And do you think that has to do with them kind of like keeping him under wraps, ready to break him out for the playoffs?
Yeah, I still think that like those small ball lineups is something that they want to use to their advantage. And I think Kenrich is the one that unlocks all of that. So yeah. And I just think that he's one of those like gritty playoff guys that I think is going to like have some moments in some games. He shot it really well this year too. He shot 39.7% from three.
Let me ask you this, Andrew. Most minutes he played this season, 26. Does he go over that in a playoff game?
It's really tough to come off the bench and do that and go over that. I'll say no. But
okay.
Still,
because
another. I was going to say there could be a situation though that it does happen if we do get to a point again where like Josh can't, like, man, we just can't play Josh in this series, as much as we
yeah.
Like Kenrich is like one of like the easy replacements for him in that he plays really big and he can shoot it. He can even make a couple dribble drive moves. So
I think the other thing that we haven't really hit on enough, Shea averaged 34 minutes per game this season.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's going to be higher. J-Dub averaged 31 minutes per game this season. I think that's going to be higher. Like, I think we're going to finally see, I go back to that game when LeBron broke the record, points record, and Mark played like a really tight lineup.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of excited to see if we get more of that in the playoffs. I'm expecting we do. I know we always talk about how he loves to play 17 guys every night, whatever it's going to be. But there's no reason why you couldn't and why you shouldn't be playing Shea like 38 minutes a game in the playoffs.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they're prepared to do different things. And they've been trying to do that over the course of the last few weeks with their rotations being a little bit different because they would pull Shea out from some first quarters and they were just trying stuff. And they want to keep teams on their heels and they don't want to be the same. And it's like why Mark will never tell us about starters before the game or won't even talk about starters or won't even talk about rotation stuff before the game. They want to be as unpredictable as possible. And Mark even talked about it in the fact that like the away team gets to pick which side of the court they sit on and then which side of the court they shoot on first and where their bench is going to be. And like Mark is like flips it all the time. And it's like one of those like small like nuances that it's like you don't necessarily even notice it. But Mark is just like all about not having like a set situation that they're going to be in, not having like this like set rotation, which I think if you do end up with like, an injury to like a role player or something, it puts them in a good spot because these guys, it's not like these guys are used to like this specific substitution pattern. It's like, oh my gosh, I don't know how to play in these minutes. But like, I think a guy like Aaron Wiggins or Kenrich, they can play in any substitution pattern. They've done the same thing with like Lou Dort, who's kind of been all over the place, and Chet. So I don't know. I think you'll get to see, at least my hope is that you'll get to see in the playoffs, like some of these like little quirky things that they've all been extremely intentional, like all along the way. Like all these little quirks throughout the season that you're like, what are they doing? Like, why are they doing this? Like, this isn't normal. What's going on here? I feel like you can have those moments a lot watching the Thunder. And I think it's all just like in preparation for the playoffs when things might get more unpredictable than they are in the regular season.
So just as a comparison, Jokic last year, regular season, 33.7 minutes per game.
Mm-hmm.
In the playoffs, 39.5. Tatum last year, 36.9 up to 41 in the playoffs. I know that Mark has done all these goofy things, but I am fully expecting to see huge minutes for the best guys on the team.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have huge minutes for the best guys on the team, there's going to be spots that are cut. Like I am prepared for that. In a way, I'm hoping for it because I do think that is how you reach your ceiling in the playoffs, by playing your best players more minutes.
Yeah.
There's not. I can't off the top of my head think of a team that had a super deep rotation that like went to the finals. It hasn't really happened. Now maybe OKC, this is kind of like part of their whole doing things differently, because they're going to need to do things differently. Maybe it's not just the way they play on the court, but also how they do rotations. Maybe that will be the case in the playoffs, but I'm expecting to see big minutes for Shea and Dub specifically.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. The NBA just released the schedule.
Oh, it's Sunday.
I'm trying
TNT.
I'm going to try to tweet it out if you want to talk about it.
All right, folks, it's going to be Sunday, April 21st. Oklahoma City playing at home in Loud City. 9:30 p.m. Eastern, which is great for me. That's 6:30 out here on the West Coast. Great start time. 8:30 for all you folks in OKC. Game's going to be on TNT. Game 2, also a 9:30 tip Eastern on TNT. And then the Game 3, first game in Sacramento or New Orleans, is going to be on a Saturday matinee, 3:30 p.m. Eastern on TNT. And that's all they've given us so far.
That will be, we're going to have a watch party on Saturday afternoon.
On a Saturday afternoon. How nice.
Afternoon. I did not know. We've been trying to communicate with the place that we're having it, and it's been difficult because I have no idea when this is going to happen. That's a lot of rest. I'll tell you that. That's a lot of rest.
Yeah, that's true. When was their last game?
A Sunday.
Sunday.
Yeah.
So they get a full week.
They get a full week of rest. Yeah.
Chet's going to come in super powered.
Yeah, so they'll play 8:30 Central Time locally.
So they gave the Thunder the closer game. So it's going to be Boston, the early game, then Mavs Clippers at 3:30 on Sunday, Bucks Pacers, and then the closer, OKC.
Wow.
All right.
Yeah. Sunday, Wednesday, Saturday. Wow. Okay. There it is. At least we know the day. Yeah, we know all the days now. We don't know the times of all the rest of them, but we're going to have a watch party on a Saturday afternoon. That's like kind of perfect, right? Like get as many people out as possible. We're going to do a post-game pod after the game.
Man, this is going to be, I always forget like what a marathon the playoffs are. Like starting this Sunday until next Saturday, they play 3 games. So they get 2 days off in between both game 1 and game 2 and game 2 and game 3. Whew. It's going to be tough.
Yeah.
It's going to be tough having to wait.
Yeah, it's going to be, we'll have a lot of time to break down a playoff series. Man, it's been a long time since we've had to do.
We'll have to remember what it's like.
I know we've done it a lot. We've been doing this podcast since 2012. So like we've covered lots of playoff series, but it just feels different this time. It's the start of something really big in Oklahoma City. It's very exciting. Let's see. Should we be worried about too much rest, Big Germ? 07?
No. Give me as much as I can handle.
Yeah.
I love rest.
Yeah. Yeah, me too.
That's a terrible answer. No, people always talk about that, and they'll do it for like bowl games. They'll do it for every sporting event ever.
Yeah. And rest is just rust.
Yeah, and my feeling is that gets brought up every single year for every single sporting event, and no one has proven anything. So I'm guessing it just doesn't matter either way.
Yeah. Someone was asking about Kenrich's free throws. It was a long time between whenever he said he was going to shoot them in a funky way, and then into the point where when he took 4 free throws and made all 4 of them at the end of the season. Took 2 against Milwaukee, 2 against Indiana. and he made all of them, and he just shot them very normally. It was extremely normal. So that's good. But, he just hardly took any all season. But he is not shooting them in a funky way, which is good.
Are you going to be at the game on Sunday?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I can't wait. Hopefully going to be able to take my family and let my kids. I mean, my kids have actually been to a playoff game. They went to. We took Asher and Archie to one of the Rockets games in 2017, I believe, that the Thunder lost against the Rockets. But since then, I don't think they haven't been to a playoff game. So I think they're gonna go. I think we're gonna. I mean, I'll definitely be there.
You know what I'd like to see? I'd like to see the Thunder fly first class back to OKC.
Mm-hmm.
Poku, Baze, Trey Mann.
Are these their celebrities that sit courtside?
Yeah, I just feel bad that those guys spent years in OKC and they never actually got to really experience what a Thunder playoff game was like.
Well, let's talk about top 3 players that you believe. Let's say that there's only 3 slots for players.
Only 3 seats?
Only 3 seats can go to players.
All right, well, you got to go Kalazakis. I would have said Muscala if we had.
I'm so glad that Mike is back. I'm so glad that Mike is back. Isaiah Roby.
I think honestly the names I said, Baze, Poku, and Trey Mann, I think those would be the big names. Now, funniest name, Gabriel Deck.
I was going to say
hilarious.
I was about to say Gabriel Deck.
See him back. I'd love to see Derek Favors back in town.
Yeah, Giant Dort.
Yeah. Who else? I'm looking. Cool. I always loved Ty Jerome. I guess he's still in the NBA, so he probably has things to do.
Jalen Horde.
Jalen Horde. Never really grew much of a connection with Jalen Horde. Hami.
Great rebound.
I like Hami.
Horde had a 2020 game.
He sure did. He sure did.
It was absolutely wild.
Hey, we didn't talk about it. I don't know if you and McKelly did. The Blue.
Yeah, the Blue.
Won the G League championship.
They absolutely did.
Ousmane Dieng, MVP.
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty exciting. I watched the game, and listen, it's the G League, but Jordan Walsh, defender, legitimate NBA defender. Now, he might not be able to play offense, but he's a legitimate NBA defender. And I was pretty impressed what I saw from Ous going up against him, because they put Walsh on Ous whenever they could. And Ous was good, man. Ous was loose.
Ous was good. Yeah, he played great. He had a really nice season in the G League. I did a podcast on the OKC Dream Team. Go to patreon.com/OKC Dream Team. And Rylan Stiles and I did a pod today about the Blue.
Oh, really?
Yep. And Rylan wrote a song to the tune of Free Fallin' by Tom Petty.
Oh, yeah.
And he called it Blue Ballin'.
Oh.
And so you can also.
Did you ask him how long he had that one in the chamber? Was he just waiting for a Blue championship?
I woke up in the middle of the night last night and just looked at my phone and I had a bunch of messages, and one of them was from Rylan, and he had sent me himself singing this song a cappella.
Wow, no backing music.
No backing music. I played my guitar on StreamYard.
Wow.
For him. And it was either the worst thing ever done or the best thing ever done, and I'll let you guys decide.
That's great. Yeah. I loved. I mean, listen, when you're a lottery pick, especially, they were still pretty bad at that point when they drafted Ousmane Dieng.
Yeah.
To come into the league, you're drafted that high, you're probably expecting, this is pretty good. I'm going to get some real run in the NBA.
Yeah.
And it didn't work out the way some of us thought it would. Some of us who predicted he would start 5 games this season. but it was cool to see him get that kind of experience where it's not just playing in the G League. It's playing on the road I know some people didn't like the main Red Claws gym because it looked like a high school gym. I really liked it just because it was full.
But that is like a G League gym.
I thought that was awesome. It looked like a community basketball team and like all these fans coming in who really like the team. I thought it was great.
That's what the G League is. Yeah, for sure.
But like it was, on the road in a big game, in a closeout game, and it gave him an opportunity he just would never get right now in the NBA.
Without
and for him to come through in that moment and then win the MVP, I just thought it was a great moment.
Mm-hmm.
It's a silver lining to the fact that he didn't really get we didn't find out a lot about him NBA wise this season.
Yeah,
if it makes you feel like okay, but he's there and he's developing, and we'll see it in the summer league. Hopefully.
Yeah, I assume we will. Yeah, we saw. I mean, we saw a lot of Oos with the G League this year, which is good for him. I think it's way better to go get those reps and go play those games than to just sit on the bench. You don't practice all that much in the NBA. And so I think it was really good for Oos, and we'll see. It's going to be tough to crack this rotation. I know we talk about like there's another lottery pick that's going to be on this team next year, and there was one lottery pick in Casey Wallace that played all 82 games, every single one with this team. And if the Thunder draft another guy that's more ready to go, it's just going to make it that much harder for Oos. And I'm not like down on Oos. I just think like when you have a team that's this good, it is really hard to crack the rotation. Like you don't get like chance after chance after chance to do it. Like you actually have to be good. And so like Oos has to have a really good summer. He had a really great G League season. That's great. He's got to have a great summer if he wants to crack the rotation. You watching any of these draft guys? You have any interest in any of these guys?
Man, I really don't. I'm so thankful that I don't have to, because
you really don't, because there's a good chance whoever it is that they draft at 12, or if somehow the Hawks or the Bulls actually get into the playoffs, they'll jump up a spot. There's a chance that guy just is a G League player.
I mean, assuming they don't go out in the first round, like I'm totally in playoff mode. I do not care about the draft because I don't have to care about the draft anymore.
Yeah,
it's below me, Andrew, unless they lose, in which case I'll jump right back in. But yeah, I just want to enjoy these playoffs and not think about the draft at all, especially knowing what this draft is like. It's not for me. The idea of being a fan of a team who was bad this year and trying to parse out which of these guys you would want if you landed first, and not knowing, like not having a clear answer. That sounds miserable to me.
Yeah.
Zero interest in that. Glad that the timelines kind of worked out the way they did.
I love having interest in everything. I think there's some fun players in this draft, and I'm
sure there are.
I'm like super pumped for all of it. And it's cool that you get to participate in all of it, because remember how long it felt, because like this would be like the end of the season for the Thunder, and it's like April, like mid-April, like oh my gosh, we have to wait till June for something.
Yeah,
it's such a long time to have to wait.
Why like the draft lottery night is like such a big event.
Oh
my gosh, this oasis.
Oh, and it takes forever to get there. God, it just felt like an eternity from the end of the season to the draft lottery, because it's in like May. It's like in mid-May. Yeah, it felt like forever. And now it's going to sneak up on us. We're like, oh, the draft lotteries now?
Oh, neat. I'll turn it on. I'll flip it on.
Yeah, I'll flip it on. I won't let these other teams be anxious. Oh, man. Well, should have been I guess a louder signal to the Warriors that Bob Myers left.
Yeah.
And that, like, this is all over.
He was like, I'm going to go do something I don't even think I'm that good at. I just want to get out of here.
I just know exactly where this is headed. Mike Dunleavy Jr., good luck, brother. That's tough. Man, he's in a tough spot.
But yeah, they have to swing multiple moves just to like be thought of as a team with a chance at the playoffs next season. They have to swing multiple moves, hope for a ton of internal improvement. They got to figure out Kuminga this summer. Like, are they going to extend him this summer, or let him go to the restricted free agency next year.
Oh man, that's a rough decision to have to make because and it's an important one. Like
and I know what his agent will say because I saw, I think it was Sam from Light Years. He put his third-year stats up against Jaylen Brown, and they're like very similar. And you know that like Kuminga's agent's going to be saying, "Hey, he's on the path."
There aren't that many players that are this young to do this. I mean, there's probably all kinds of lists that you can make.
I used to make those lists about Darius Bazley.
Yeah.
I think Kuminga's better than Baze, okay? He's better than Baze.
Just by a little bit, but he is better.
But there was a period of time where you could do a stat head search for like 12.7 rebounds, which I think was what Baze was by age 21 on a certain like efficiency. And it was like, wow, Baze is like one of only 10 players to ever do this.
God, remember the blocks and fouls stat with Baze?
Yeah.
Like blocks versus fouls. It's like, this is how he's going to make it.
This is how he's going to make it.
And he did make it. So shout out to
Baze. I got to go because someone tweeted out a Spaces where Nick Wright got on with Jim Park.
No.
And everyone is quote retweeting it. So I have to go listen to it.
Send it to me. Also, to the Warriors, they have the Rockets, Grizzlies, and Spurs, and possibly Jazz coming at them next year too. So like,
yeah, totally.
It's going to be really, really hard to make it in the West, especially when you have to cut costs like that. Okay, thanks you so much for listening to our podcast. We will be back. I don't know. I mean, I might try to have some special shows this week. You know, as we
so the next game is Friday
night.
I wish it was Thursday night.
I do too. I wish it was Thursday night for so many reasons, but yeah, it's Friday night, and we'll do like a preview show. The hard thing is like, I guess it's good that we have like a day in between, so we'll have some kind of preview show for you guys, previewing the series, and I'll try to see maybe we get Deuce and Mo or Will Guillory or somebody to hop on to help preview it. But it just it's a tight window. It's a tight window. We don't have them.
And then by Saturday, people are watching other games.
I know, and it's on the weekend. It's on the weekend too.
Yeah, it's brutal.
It's like the last day before the playoffs start, and like people aren't wanting to work. I'm not wanting to work. I don't know, but I will. I'll do it anyways. All right. Hope you guys have a great day. We'll talk to you guys again for sure Friday, but maybe before. Alex, you gotta send me that link to the Spaces.